retail therapy. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I'm just talking about the notion of not feeling too good and going out and buying stuff to make yourself feel better. It's really that simple. Some of the things I'm going to talk about I've addressed. It's not a lot of overlap, but I've addressed in the context of physical forms of media when I had that conversation, or two-set rant, I can't remember, it was a while ago, or just talked about how I'm a crotchety old curmudgeon and how I don't like subscribe to streaming platforms. I like to buy physical forms of media, even though sometimes it doesn't make as much financial sense, for sure, like buying physical copies of books instead of digital ones, especially buying physical copies of music when most people have moved on to subscribing to things such as Spotify or Pandora or what have you, or just using Google Music or Apple Music, whatever. So not a lot of overlap, but it is coincidentally with retail therapy, the things I tend to buy to make myself feel better are forms of media such as music and books. So, I guess that's the thing I want to talk about today is owning physical possessions and retail therapy kind of in one conversation because, I don't know, I've just noticed a couple things in the past year with me where a little over a year ago, like I took this trip to Vancouver to see a really great friend of mine, and I was there for about 5 days. I had I was in a teaching contract at the time, like I had this big chunk of money saved, and I was like, yes, like I can afford to do this, I'm going to spend this money. I saved up the money, I went, took a plane, and just had this bunch of money to go there and have a great time, and I had an amazing time, and it was the first time that I really remember thinking that I value having experiences, I put monetary value on having experiences, or I'm willing to spend the money on these experiences more so than I'd ever kind of done before, because I haven't taken trips very many places or spent money on going on a road trip to go and look at this and do that or whatever. And this is really the first time that I had a big chunk of money that I was able to just put towards that, and that I was like, yeah, that was really good. I would save up for that again. That's what I want to do. So, that was just a realization I had last year. But the reason I'm having this discussion now is because today I realized, despite the fact that I put value on these experiences now, and I'm willing to put the money into them because I really see the benefits from them now and how much I learned about myself. And yes, I had a good time with my friend. We hung out. We went to some great restaurants, and we had cool discussions and stuff. But I also had a great time just being somewhere new to me and taking photos, being inspired, checking out art, just being in a different city that really gives me a lot of energy, and just I just learned a lot about myself. I really valued that experience, and despite that, I still am focusing on retail therapy sometimes, and that's not a great thing. I think that there's a time and a place. Again, everything in moderation. So even though retail therapy is generally a negative coping mechanism for most people, and that's the way it's talked about most times, I think that there's a time and place where if you did it every once in a while and you had the financial means to do it, I don't think it would be bad. I really don't. I mean, it's different if you're running away from a problem and you ignore that problem and you decide to just pretend it's not there and then go out and buy something and feel better about yourself for a couple minutes, then yeah, that's not great. Especially if it's something that you don't really want, don't need, you end up throwing out or whatever, you waste the money on it, or I don't know, those things aren't good. I think that my form of retail therapy, I know that it's not putting me at a house and home, I'm not going into crazy amounts of debt. However, I'm spending small increments too frequently on things like books. And that's because I feel I can justify it by being oh yeah, books, learning. Some people like the idea of reading more than they like reading. I feel I do both. I like the idea of books. I like what they represent. I put a lot of value in them. I am proud of the large library that I have collected over the years. I like it. To me, it's almost like a status symbol in a way, more so than jewelry and cars and whatever it would be, because that's the image and projection that I want to give of myself, and like because they are things that I value. And thankfully this past year I finally been getting into the habit of actually reading more and not just buying books. I still buy books at a rate which I'm not going to be able to keep up with reading, and that's kind of a problem because of my finances, because they're so unstable because of subbing. So even though I'm not like buying stuff to the point where I can't pay rent, I never know when I can pay rent or not because of, I with the money with subbing. Like I just have no idea how much I'm going to be working in any given month at all. I just don't. So that's not great. But anyway, yeah, I just, like I said, I just have these two things where I'm like, I realize that I'd rather spend money on these experiences, and I really value experiences. But man, what is my thing with physical possessions? What is it? Because it's not just anything. There's certain possessions, but this goes back to the physical forms of media thing. Like, I could read a book, like, just, digitally. I could listen to music. Like, I listen to my music digitally more often than I put on, like, a vinyl record. I use the CD player in my car, like, every day. Like, I just put a new CD in there every couple days, and listen to it through there. Rather than connecting my iPod to my car, usually it's just easier to put on a CD and just listen to something. Usually it's stuff that I'm not familiar with, so in my car I'm generally listening to music that I don't know very well yet because it's a more recent CD or an album that I bought. But yeah, rather than using my phone to Bluetooth it, or like I said, connecting my iPod and aux cord, but I still like to buy the physical album, and it's not just to support the artist, it's just this need for physical stuff. And that's the thing with retail therapy, usually that's what we're talking about, is bringing physical items home. It's not like, well, I mean, sometimes it's like a meal, but I mean, that's where it becomes this like crazy, blurry line and like weird territory, because the same thing is like, okay, when I realized that, I used to self-harm, and that was a negative coping mechanism, and we had a discussion about negative coping mechanisms a couple weeks back, so you can find that. But like self-harming there's no real positive that comes out of that. There's like relief for a moment, but generally that negative coping mechanism, you don't need to do it, you can just do without it. And so I stopped, and then it was over. I started drinking at one point as a negative coping mechanism, and when I realized that, I was like, okay, that's over. I didn't drink for 10 years. Now I can have a drink in moderation and feel completely fine. But drinking alcohol is not something you need to do. So for me, when it's something I don't need to do, it's very easy to stop, usually. But for something like eating, I definitely use that as a negative coping mechanism still. It's like, I need to eat, I need to go buy groceries, and I plan my meals, and then I always sometimes don't plan maybe a meal that's that great, or I buy something extra that's not a part of the meals I planned, or, and sometimes it's like, yeah, I'm not having a great day, it would be really nice to just have some comfort food, but it's like, oh, but I planned this meal, and that's a whole other thing. But I feel like retail therapy is sometimes that too, because it's like, okay, I'm not going out and like buying like, expensive chains and like I don't know, like clothes for me are one thing that like, that can be a good thing. Like, clothes for me are more I buy out of necessity than just for like fun. There are definitely items where I've been like, oh my goodness, like shoes. For me, like I bought like 5 pairs of Vans in like a 6-month period at one point, like because I had the funds at that time, and I was like, yeah, like I just got on this kick of like I need different colors of Vans because I love Vans, and so that was excessive. I don't need that many pairs of shoes at all. So I've done that before, but it's very rare that I've been like, you know what, I'm going to go treat myself to a whole new outfit. Like, it's more of like, I need a new shirt because I keep staining my shirts and they become paint shirts and I just need a new shirt. Like, there's times where I like, again, like, I would like to be like, oh, it'd be nice to go get a new shirt today, like, because I like that. That would make me, sometimes, like I said, it's not a bad thing if you did it every once in a while and you're within your means and it's like, you're actually going to wear that shirt and you feel better, more confident about yourself, or whatever it is. That's generally not where I tend to go because usually those are higher priced items. So it's like buying one shirt, or I could buy like 5 books. So I feel like, one, I don't need, the shirts take up closet space and I will use them. As long as they're the right size, that's fine. The books take up bookshelf space and I will read them. And I value them, and they mean a lot more to me than the symbolism behind. Like, a shirt is way more necessity. It's not a status symbol to me, whatever. The books are more of like this thing of like, wow, I have these very important books and blah blah blah. Like, I don't think I exude that too much. I'm like I said, I'm proud of my library. I like it. I like having access to the books that I do, and I don't buy books just because someone else says they're important. Like, I feel like, oh, this is something I'm gonna like, right? So it's not a superficial thing at all, but there's just a certain amount of value and meaning that I attach to those things, and because I can get more of them, like because I buy them used generally, like 99% of the time, um, I buy them used and I can get more of them than if I were to buy them brand new. I don't know, so it's just in these smaller increments, but I notice that I'm doing it too much. I notice that I'm using retail therapy because I have to walk either by the mall or through the mall just to get here into the studio spaces. So whenever I'm here, I have to, sometimes I don't think of it at all, but other times I'm like, oh, 10 bath bombs for $35. It's like, I have 4 bath bombs left at home. I don't even take a bath every week, so, I can go without having to buy those right now. Like, I don't need them. Like, at all, one, I don't need bath bombs, period. But if it was just a part of my regular routine of buying them and having them and whatever, I don't need to buy them when I still have 4 left. Like, I don't need to buy 10 when I have 4 left. That's just not something I need to do. But, like, that thought enters my mind, and I'm like, oh, I'm in the mall. Maybe I can go check out what new music there is. Or, like, I can go and look at this thing or look at that thing. And I rarely ever do that. But, I mean, going to the bookstore isn't that hard either. So, like, again, it's one of those things that, like, it's a very easy problem to fix, but at the same, it's not like a physical craving, like with food, I need to eat. It has to happen. Just like I need to buy stuff, it has to happen. When you're in a store and you need to buy groceries, then it's really hard to, like, not buy the stuff you don't need sometimes, at least for me. The same thing, like I said, was like food. Like, it's just, if it's at home, I don't need to eat it, but maybe I eat too much because I need to eat, period. I can't just cancel eating at all. If I could just stop eating, then it would stop me from eating in excess amounts and crappy stuff. Just like with drinking alcohol, I don't need to drink alcohol, so if I just stop at 100%, it stops the negative parts of that too. It also stops the positive parts that I could enjoy, but like it wasn't worth it because I wasn't doing it in moderation. So it's hard for me when it's something that needs to be done, like spending money in a store, to do it in moderation sometimes. Like I said, it's not a hard problem to solve. I just need to stop doing it. It's like, oh wow, like I'm not really having a great day. I'm walking through the mall. Yeah, I just won't go to the store. I just need to go in my car and go home. It could be that. It's very, like, it is that simple. It's that simple. But I also just, I don't know. Like, I've just noticed that more so in the past year than I've noticed before. And part of it is buying stuff online. Like, that is something I noticed, like, when I got a credit card, that I was like, oh, I need new beard oil. Like, oh, I don't need it, but I'm like, oh, there's a new scent of beard oil. And then eventually I stopped. I was like, I've got like 3 major scents of beard oil for like different seasons, and I'm happy with those. I don't need to keep buying beard oil. Like, so, and because it doesn't take them, they don't last for like, what am I trying to say? They last a long time. That's what I'm trying to say. It's not like they just run out like every month or something and I need to supply it. The beard oil that I bought, I still haven't gone through all of it, like just one thing. But that's partially because I'm using different kinds. Anyway, enough beard oil talk. The point is that buying stuff online, it's so easy that it's just like, there was a point where I don't even remember what it was, because I don't think it was music or books, but there was other stuff, just like things like, oh, there's beard oil, or there's this, like, or like I bought like a shirt, or this thing, or that thing, like things that I can't just buy in the store. And then you get stuck down that rabbit hole, and it's easy when you have a credit card. Just buy it, and it shows up. Like, hey, that's a fun surprise. It's like, at the store, you walk away with something right away, and that like makes you feel good maybe. But then buying stuff online, it's like, oh, I'm gonna get like a surprise in the mail at some point, and you're like, yay, and it's a whole other thing. So yeah, negative coping mechanisms, retail therapy, moderation, things I need to work on for sure. But also this thing of physical items. Like, I just don't know what it is about me. Like, I feel like as a kid, like, there were things that I liked collecting. I think a lot of kids at some point, they find something to latch on to collect, and maybe it's because of influence from other people. Like, oh, my older brother collected hockey cards, so I collect hockey cards, or I don't know. But there's just something, I think, that's appeals to kids more about like collecting than a lot of adults, or they grow out of it or whatever. But I still have that need too. Like, I have a couple book series that I don't have all of them yet, and there's this need in me to be a completist and like collect them and finish that off, even though I haven't started reading it. I might not read that book series for a year or two. Like, who knows when I'll get to it. But I want them all. So, yeah, that's a whole other thing. But again, it's physical items. It's not just any physical item for me, but like it's just, what is the need for that? Because like sometimes like there's the experience part. Like, oh, I could go spend money on junk food and have an experience of eating junk food, and I feel like crap after. So that's not great. Whereas if I buy a book, it only lasts a couple seconds. Just like eating this thing would only last a couple seconds, but I don't really feel bad about it. But again, I shouldn't feel that good about it either, because I don't have the money to just be buying books whenever I feel like. Obviously, there's way worse things I could be doing. I'm not. I'm not trying to justify it. Obviously, I am, or I'm just aware that there's way worse things I could be spending money on. There's way worse forms of retail therapy, whether the frequency, and the amount that I spend and what I spend it on. I feel like I'm pretty okay, but at the same time, it's something I do want to work on. And I wish that I knew, like, how to, like, I think it is just going to be a simple thing, like, hey, make better choices when you buy stuff, to eat, and eat better. Like, those are simple things that, for some reason for me, are hard to stay disciplined with. The same thing with, like, well, okay, just, don't go to the bookstore, don't look, like that means, like, okay, unsubscribe from, like, the bookstore social media, so you don't see what they come in. Then you don't know what you're missing, right? Things like that I could do to help myself. But I haven't done. Or even like art supplies. Like sometimes like I don't need more supplies. But it feels nice to have like a fresh, like canvas or something or whatever. Like I said, there's worse things, for sure. But I don't know. I don't know. I wish there was something. Obviously, there's things I can do when I'm not having a great day and I feel like I need to do something. Like, oh, let me meditate instead of like going and buying a book. Like, there's something that I need to do. I need to be better at like just throwing that thought away of the retail therapy. Like I said, it's not that excessive, but it's definitely not helping me right now, and I need to get better with that and find better use. Just find like a quick. I don't know. It's just there are no quick fixes. There we go. That's the answer I just got to. There isn't a quick fix. If I'm having an off day, if I'm not feeling great, if I need to get right with myself and feel balanced, there is no quick fix. So there it is. We'll see you another time. I just realized there's something I need to add. I hate doing this. I came to like a conclusion and kind of resolved things, and now I have this like PS. I completely forgot that the retail therapy thing for me isn't always just for me. Like, I had a thought today of buying something for somebody else. It's still a physical object, and that's what it is. Like, I get to take a physical object home, even if I'm going to give it away. Like, it makes me feel good to be nice to people that I like. And sometimes I show affection through buying stuff. Not all the time, but I mean, like, I can give someone kind words, but for some reason that isn't alleviating, like, any anxiousness that I feel right now that just has to do with me. Like, for some reason that just isn't enough sometimes. I feel like I have to, like I want to buy something because it's, like, it's the retail therapy thing that even if it's not for me, I'm buying something and I'm going to give it away and I feel good about that. And I don't know. But I just wanted to slip that in there because it's not just buying stuff for me. Like, it's also just that weird thing of like, hey, I'm just buying a physical object and taking it and I'm giving it to someone and they're going to enjoy it and then that makes me feel better. And like that's different, but it's also not. Like, doing something nice for someone is great, but like, again, I could write someone a letter, I could say nice things to them or do something that has nothing to do with money and like provide a service for them or something, you know what I mean? Like, give them my time and volunteer to do something that they don't want to do. I don't know. There's definitely ways to it's not just about showing affection through physical items, but it's just the fact that I feel this like urge to buy something right now, and I'm like, well, I don't have to buy it for me because that would be not good. That'd be like retail therapy. So I'll just buy it for someone else. It's still retail therapy.